From the state's largest cities to its smallest towns, Mainers head to the polls in droves.
And while some candidates may know their fate tonight, others may have days to wait before a winner is declared. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Voice of the Voter coverage. I'm Cindy Williams.
I'm Pat Callahan. It's going to be a long night for some of the candidates running for major office in Maine, particularly those in races where ranked choice voting may mean we won't see an official winner for days.
You did your part and voted in big numbers. Now it's our turn to tell you how the candidates are doing. We have so many crews fanned out at campaign headquarters all across the state. We don't have enough boxes to show them all to you right now, but they are there and we will get to all of them.
You will also be able to get the latest results at the bottom of your screen as long as we are on the air. You can see the ticker going by, keeping you up to date.
We want to start now with the governor's race. Don Kerrigan kicks off our coverage. He is at Sean Moody headquarters in Gorham tonight. There you saw the latest numbers. And Don, take it away.
Hi, Cindy and Pat. The crowd here is staying. They're very loyal, a lot of them good friends of Sean Moody's, but fair to say they are concerned about the vote totals at this point, with Moody trailing Janet Mills by roughly 6 points. Now, we've got some video. Sean Moody came to the room a few minutes ago to greet everyone, shaking hands. As we said, a lot of these people are good friends of his. They've known each other for a long, long time. Very loyal supporters. Thank them all. He has not spoken to the crowd yet. We don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon. His campaign treasurer, Joe Bruno, told me a few minutes ago they are a little concerned about the numbers right now, but there's a long way to go and they're nowhere near ready to give up at this point. So they're hoping that a lot of small town votes will come in to help counterbalance some of the bigger city results that have tended to favor Janet Mills so far. That's where they're at right now, and hoping to get a lot more numbers, and maybe this crowd hoping to get some encouragement too. Let's go to Shannon Moss at Janet Mills headquarters.
Yeah, hi, Don Kerrigan. Take a look at this. Phil Bartlett from the Maine Democratic Party, the chair, just introducing Shelley Pingree, and let's listen in right now.
Well, I'm very excited, and I'm very grateful to the voters of District 1 for giving me this honor tonight. I'm excited to be out here with two of my kids, my daughter Hannah, my daughter Cecily. So let's just say, walking through polling places today, it was an amazing day. There were so many long lines, so many new voters waiting to be registered to vote, and we're likely to have a record turnout for a midterm election. I just want to say, so many of you in this room have been knocking on doors, making those phone calls, donating to candidates. I'm really, really grateful to everyone here and everyone out there who's been doing that. The only reason I ever win is because of all of you. So we all know what's at stake tonight, and that this election actually is the most important election of our lifetime. Even though it seems really late, this night is actually still a little bit early. We have so many more races to still find out about, particularly making sure we take control of that Blaine house right here in Maine. But I already know these next 2 years are going to have a lot of work ahead of us in House of Representatives. Number one, we have to get back to work on the health care crisis. Got to make sure that everybody has health care coverage, because I believe it is a right for everyone in this country to have health care. Got to make sure we protect that guarantee that says you can't be denied health care coverage for pre-existing conditions. We got to ramp up the fight against the devastating opioid crisis, and we have to lower the cost.
That is Shelley Pingree speaking to her supporters at the shared headquarters she has with Janet Mills in Portland. So that's why we're jumping back and forth between the two campaigns. But clearly, Shelley Pingree there is speaking as someone who is about to win her 6th term in Congress. And News Center is projecting that Shelley Pingree will be the winner of the 1st district race. We had a concession from the independent in that case, Marty Groh, in that race. Marty Groman, not yet for Mark Holbrook. But the latest numbers show Shelley Pingree with 36% counted at 59%. That's a big margin over Mark Holbrook at 31% and Marty Groman at 10%.
Do we want to return now to the governor's race? The latest numbers there give Janet Mills an 8-point lead over Sean Moody. We were trying to talk with Shannon Moss, who's at Janet Mills' campaign headquarters. Not sure if we can get her while Shelley is still talking, because they are sharing a campaign headquarters.
Well, I want to look at the numbers then, too, just to keep you up to date. In the second congressional race, this is the one that has national implications, and everyone is watching this closely, not just in Maine, but across the country. We're actually up to 30% of the vote right now, but the numbers are the same. Bruce Poliquin, the incumbent, at 46%. Jared Golden, the Democrat, 46%. There's about 30 votes separating them at this point. Wow. That's how close this is. And we have the two independents in the race, Tiffany Bond and Will Hoare. Combined, they have 8%. Now, what this means is if these numbers hold even close to this, whether it's Golden on top or Poliquin on top, neither one of those men is going to reach the 50% threshold under ranked choice voting. That means we'll go to a second round of counting. The second choice of Tiffany Bond and Will Hoare will find out who gets those votes. It is most likely going to go, those votes would most likely go to Jared Golden. So this race is not over, and it may not be over for another week or so, but the trend is not a good one for the incumbent Bruce Poliquin.
He definitely needed to be higher than this at this point in the race with the ranked choice in order to feel a little bit more confident at this point. Right now we want to go to Zach Blanchard, who is at Bruce Poliquin headquarters in Bangor tonight. What are they saying there about the tightness of this race, Zach?
Yeah, in fact, Pat and Cindy, Congressman Poliquin is right here greeting his supporters. He just walked in moments ago, and a lot of nerves here, to be honest, a lot of confidence, but they are hesitant. They're admitting that this is going to be a long night, as this race is a very close one. We're still neck and neck as results come in. The latest results putting Poliquin slightly ahead, but then it just kind of bounces back and forth as those precincts are reporting here. And we actually had a moment to speak to the congressman moments ago about how those nerves were doing, and here's what he had to say. Are you nervous?
Long day. No, I'm not nervous, Zach. You know better than that. You know, they'll count all the votes and we'll see what it looks like at the end of the night. But it's going to be a long. You guys are going to be up very late. Yeah. You think you're going to get some sleep tonight? You're not.
Are you going to challenge this if it goes to ranked choice?
We're going to count all the votes, Zach. We're going to count all the votes and we'll see where it ends up.
So that's where we are right now. Again, still a very close race. The camp here preparing for a very long night as these results continue to come in. And again, just to reiterate here, the complexity of the ranked choice process. If Poliquin or Golden doesn't receive 50% or more of those votes, it will go to ranked choice. We will not know the results tonight. So as the congressman continues to greet his supporters here, we're going to send it on over to the Golden campaign. That's where News Center Maine's Rob Caldwell is with more. Rob?
Thank you, Zach. Here at the Franco Center in Lewiston, Jared Golden, the Democratic candidate for the 2nd District, still has not made an appearance. We were told he'd be here by about 10:30 or so, and he didn't arrive then. About 15 minutes ago, his spokesman said that he'd probably be here within the hour. So it may be that Jared Golden doesn't show up here until 11:45, maybe even midnight. So we haven't heard from the candidate. We've heard from his spokesman, who says they're waiting to see what the numbers are. They don't have any inside information. They didn't do any exit polling. So what they know about the numbers is what you know. They're watching TV. They're looking at the websites. Those are the numbers that they're going by, and they simply have no idea how this race is going to end up. Way too close to call. We've just got to wait and see how the numbers come in. The Golden people say that they're cautiously optimistic, but that's what you'd expect them to say. They're not going to say that they're cautiously pessimistic. So they're doing what politicians and political campaigns and the spin people do at this point, and trying to put a fairly good face on things, but most of all, waiting for the numbers to come in. And as we have said earlier, there's a very good chance that everyone will go home tonight not knowing who won this race. Pat and Cindy, back to you.
It is so interesting, Rob. Thank you so much. The number of votes separating these two candidates is so small that we're just watching the percentages flip-flop back and forth constantly.
And the latest is at 32% counted. Now it's Jared Golden at 47%, Poliquin at 45%. And again, those numbers make it clear it's highly unlikely anybody is going to win this race tonight.
Right. So what would happen? Those two independent candidates, their second choices are going to then be redistributed to the remaining candidates. You've got to think that that favors Jared Golden.
Let's go back now to the 1st District congressional race. And as you just heard a couple of minutes ago, Democrat Shelley Pingree challenged by Republican Mark Holbrook and Independent Marty Groman. But Pingree is our projected winner. She is at 59%, Mark Holbrook at 31%, and Marty Groman at 10%. He's already conceded. Pingree has really claimed her victory. Let's check in now with Dustin Vladkowski at the Mark Holbrook headquarters to see what they're doing there. Dustin?
Hey, Pat, it has quieted down significantly here at the Daniel Hotel in Brunswick, where Mark Holbrook has been watching all the results with us as they've come in over the course of the evening. Mark, one of your opponents has conceded. The other one has sort of declared victory already. No final answer just yet. How does that make you feel?
I feel okay. You know, if I had spent my children's college fund on this harebrained scheme, I'd have quit early too. But the fact of the matter is, we still have 2/3 of the votes to come in, and if that gets her down below 50%, we go into ranked choice and we got a whole new ball game here. So we aren't ready to concede.
What's your plan for the rest of the evening, depending on how late this goes?
Most of us have to work tomorrow, so we're going to go home, get a good night's rest, and see what's the new day brings.
Now, if this does not pan out in your favor, is there a third run for Congress in your future?
So 2020 is going to present two more opportunities. Shelley would be up for a re-election, and Senator Collins is up for re-election. So there are two other opportunities coming up in 2020.
And we'll leave it at that. We're going to go over to Lee Goldberg now. He's down at the Marty Groman headquarters in Biddeford. Hey, Lee.
All right, Dustin, yeah, thank you very much. So as we mentioned, Marty Groman did concede earlier in the night and went and lent his full support behind Shelley Pingree, who is the presumptive winner of this election, although not officially yet. He had a message that was pretty simple: fix, not fight. It really resonated with people as he traveled over 20,000 miles by car across our state, meeting with people. And even in defeat, he talked a lot about that message, how people really connected with that message, about just the general concept of trying to fix things that are wrong in politics right now and not fight so much. So that was his message. Obviously, it didn't get out to enough people that cast enough ballots in his favor, but he's very positive about the message. He had a great crowd of supporters that were here tonight. So even in defeat, he said there were a lot of lessons learned. He offered his congratulations and full support behind Shelley Pingree, and overall was fairly happy with being able to get out, meet some people, and spread that message, guys.
Nothing short of amazing.
All right. Thanks very much, Lee. And I believe we're going to check in. We're going to back to Shelley Pingree headquarters.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's where Lindsay Mills is standing by. Lindsay?
Come in. And the good news that I want to share with you is that we are
taking
seeing
a break. All right, back with more of our News Center Voice of the Voter coverage right after this.
We're back, turning our attention now to the race for Senate. Angus King with a sizable lead, 54% of the vote. His Republican challenger is speaking to his supporters right now. Let's listen.
I mean, that's crazy this day and age that we live in, that this is still going on. And our Ninth Amendment says that those rights, well, let me open it just to make sure I don't butcher it. But our Ninth Amendment. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. That means something very simple. Our rights as free people in America are unlimited. We have the right to make our own choices. Absolutely. And we deserve representation in Washington, D.C. that's going to fight for our rights. And we deserve a U.S. Senator who's going to fight for our 10th Amendment, which says that those powers not expressly delegated to Congress belong to the states and the people. And if it's not in Article 1, Section 8, they're not supposed to be doing it in Washington, D.C. We're supposed to be able to make our own choices here in Maine, whether that's with cannabis or health care or education. But now we have this one-size-fits-all government giving down one-size-fits-all solutions to all of us. And it's driving us apart as a country. You know, America is more culturally diverse than we have ever been. Maine is different than California. We're different than Oregon. We're different than
he's
Kansas.
obviously not
We're our own unique state.
Sorry.
More
All
and more
right, we want to take a breakaway now. Eric Brakey, a lot of ground to make up. He's behind 54 to 35% behind Angus King with 35% of the vote counted. While that's not a huge number, the trend has been the same all night long. It seems highly unlikely it's going to change. Let's check in now with Chris Costa, who is at Angus King headquarters in Brunswick. Chris?
Hi, Pat. Yeah, and Senator Angus King certainly relying on the ranked choice voting, especially if it pans out the way that his Democratic challenger, Zach Ringelstein, had asked many of the voters to. The crowd has kind of transitioned from out here in the tent to inside in the brewery there, giving another cheer as they have, as more Democrats have been winning the battling positions. But anyway, he would be, he's hoping that all the voters who voted for Zach Ringelstein, number one, would then vote for Senator King, number two, as Ringelstein had called for on social media with a hashtag Zach1 Angus 2. That could make a huge difference, obviously, for Senator Angus King. Not sure how much of a difference it would really make for State Senator Eric Brakey. Right now, a lot of the crowd is kind of gathering in that other room over there. We don't have any confirmation at this point that Senator King is actually here, but we know we've seen a lot of his friends, his family, his campaign staff. We just saw one of his communications director come out here not too long ago just to kind of take a quick peek around, but they have not yet confirmed that he's actually here in the building, and he hasn't made an appearance yet to all of the people who've been here, standing here, supporting him. So again, they're relying on those votes, the people who voted for Zach Ringelstein, number one, to vote for him, at least with their second choice, so that hopefully he could come away with the win tonight. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, thank you, Chris. Shelley Pingree is headed back for another term in Congress. It will be her sixth. New Senator's Lindsey Mills is standing by at Pingree headquarters in Portland tonight, where Congresswoman Pingree addressed her supporters just a few minutes ago. Lindsey?
Hi, yes, right. That's right, Pat. I'm here with Shelley Pingree, who just got off the stage moments ago. You said you're still going to wait to see what these results are going to say as they continue to roll in, but 40% of precincts are reporting now in your district. So how are you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling great. I feel really grateful. It looks like I'm going to win the race, and I'm just so grateful to get reelected. We have our work cut out for us. It looks like the House is going to go Democratic, and that is going to mean, you know, even more challenges, being a check on the president, moving forward on the agenda and things we care about, and really just giving people hope again.
There is an electric energy in this room tonight. It's, you know, a combination of the Democratic Party here tonight. When you were on stage, you got such a great show of support. So how does it make you feel to be here and see your supporters and be able to thank them in person?
Well, it's a great chance to thank everybody, because you never win unless people are out there, you know, knocking on doors, making the phone calls, and, you know, believing in you. And I've gotten really great feedback this election, so I feel great about it. We're anxious to hear what's going to happen with the Blaine House, but I think after 2 very discouraging years with this president, people have been looking for something to give themselves hope, to know that we're a functioning democracy, that when things aren't going right, we can make a change. And I think people are starting to feel that tonight.
Shelley Pingree, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to send it back to you in the studio.
Thanks,
All right.
Lindsey. And it's been, this is the first time in at least 4 years, and probably more, that Shelley Pingree's really been challenged. She will come out on top tonight, but this is the first time she's run any TV ads, for example. Hasn't really had to push that hard, but competition is stronger, and in the ranked choice world, you can't take anything for granted.
Absolutely not. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back with more of our Voice of the Voter coverage, including more on the governor's race in just a moment.
Welcome back to our Voice of the Voter coverage of election 2018.
And we're going to go right now to the Senate race. We want to look at that again. Senator King out with a large percentage of the vote in his bid for re-election. Eric Brakey, the Republican candidate, we heard him speak just a moment ago. But Zach Ringelstein, the progressive Democratic candidate in this race, did concede earlier this evening. We want to go to Cameron O'Brien, who's at Ringelstein headquarters. Cam?
Hey, Cindy, Pat, things wrapping up here at Think Tank Co-work in Portland, where Zach Ringelstein had his watch party. And after a long, hard-fought battle that started in October 2017, Zach did concede tonight in front of a crowd of supporters who were visibly emotional, as was he, talking about the successes of their campaign, the impact that Zach has made with voters coming from a teaching background, not taking any big money, making an impact this way. And we have a little soundbite from his concession speech. We'll play it right now.
I want you to know that my journey in this justice movement has just begun, and that the revolution is here.
That speech, hugging people, thanking people for their time, thanking his wife for her support. So this race over for Zach, but his political future just beginning here in Maine. Back to you, Pat and Cindy.
Thank you, Cam.
Thanks.
Let's check in now back on the governor's race, and we haven't had a chance yet to hear from the Janet Mills headquarters. That's where News Center's Shannon Moss is. And again, the trend for the last hour and a half, almost 2 hours, has been very good for Janet Mills. Are you feeling that in that room, Shannon?
Pat, that's exactly what we're feeling. And really, Pat, it was kind of all night long. What was really unusual about sort of this election night than past ones is just sort of the confidence among the people that were here, even before the numbers started coming in. And as I mentioned before, you know, usually there's TVs everywhere and they're watching the results very closely. I mean, they did that at the primary back in June with Mills, but not tonight. I'm sure they're watching them obviously in another room, but right here it's all about celebrating. It's celebrating Mills' campaign. It's celebrating that what they believe and they're confident will be the first female governor, Janet Mills. That is what they are sure about. That's what they're celebrating right now. Nothing official, as we've been saying, but Pat, you were talking about those numbers. They are leaning toward, you know, leading that way. We're talking with John Richardson, of course, our political analyst, and he is convinced that's how it's going to go. He said it's a night for women too. Shelley Pingree, also Janet Mills. You know, we have people dancing here, people celebrating, and I think they're really just waiting for Janet Mills to get here. She's not here yet, from what I am told from her staff. She is at a hotel nearby, and that she will be coming at some point, I think, when she's ready to get on that stage right there when she's introduced and give a speech. And I know everyone here is anxious to hear from her. They are getting periodic updates from other members of the Democratic Party, and they are just excited, not only about nationally with the Democrats retaking the House, but also what's happening here in Maine and on a local level. So again, Pat, enthusiasm really high here tonight. Hard to hear, hard to focus, because we got a lot of bands playing. My gosh, but it's great music. I'm at a good
Here's
spot.
something worth noting, Shannon. If these numbers hold, not just would Janet Mills win, but she would win with a majority of the vote, which hasn't happened since Angus King was reelected the second time. And so that would be a rather remarkable turn of events. We've not had a governor win a majority in many years. We're going to take a break. Back with more of News Center's Voice of the Voter coverage after this. Welcome back. News Center Voice of the Voter coverage. We've got another race to project.
That's right. We were all voted all over the state on question 1, a very controversial question on establishing universal home health care through a tax on higher incomes. We are now projecting that that question will fail. The numbers have been pretty steady all night, failing with 62% of the vote right now.
Let's take a look at the other questions that we all voted on today. Question 2 is the wastewater bond, a $30 million package for planning and construction of wastewater treatment facilities. Maine would have to borrow the money to pay for that, but people are saying, yes, that's a good idea. Right now, that's leading by 10 points, 55-45.
Maine people like transportation bonds, and they seem to like question 3, $106 million with some matching federal money. That is passing with 68% of the vote.
Question 4 is the university bond, $49 million, which would have to be matched by another $49 million in private and public funds used to modernize facilities at Maine's public universities. That also right now has a comfortable lead, 54 to 46%.
And Maine voters are encouraging community colleges with a $15 million bond for improvements there. That one passing very easily right now with 65% of the vote. A couple of local questions that we wanted to tell you about. South Portland residents did pass that referendum, which will restrict short-term rentals, i.e. Airbnbs in that town. Damascotta came out big in favor of the restriction of plastic bags. They said no to the marijuana moratorium, but yes to both recreational and medical marijuana establishments in Damascotta. All right, so
take a break.
We're going to take a break. Let's do weather. Jill Conley is here. I missed a little ding.
We wait for the almanac, and we're so trained. We're trained dogs here.
Yeah. Oh, we'll do the almanac right now.
Okay.
There it is.
There it is.
We should do our
I didn't want to see that almanac.
No. Yeah, I know.
416 sunset. No, thank you.
Sunset.
All right, before we get to weather, we want to see if we can cut to Angus King headquarters. He is addressing his supporters in Brunswick. Ron, can we listen to a little of that?
It's too soon. I don't want to thank, and we're waiting for CNN. I sent Dana Bash a text and said, "What are you waiting for? I've got a lot of people up here waiting for you." And the only person I'm going to thank right now is the person who's next to me. Mary has, of course, been an incredible support all of our lives together. But this year, she's been, some of you may know, she's basically been working in the campaign full time. Her business card says Mary J. Herman, campaign den mother. So we'll have some more comments a little bit later as soon as things finalize, but I know it's getting late and some people have to get up early, so I didn't want to feel you had to hang around on my account. But I've got to tell you, I have never participated in a campaign that's had more people working harder in more parts of the state, from Washington County up to Aroostook. We carried Fort Kent, I think it was about 60 to 25 or something like that. And just every place, Farmington, Bethel, Washington County, Central Maine, Southern Maine. One of the delays is, you all probably know about the power problem in Portland, so they didn't even start counting votes there until 9:30, and now just a portion of Portland has been reported. So lots of returns to come in, but it looks really great, and you're certainly welcome. The tent is rented for another day.
We apologize for the audio quality there, but that's Senator Angus King and his wife Mary Herman. Not a stone victory speech, so to speak, but clearly the trend is with him. He looks very likely to be returned to the U.S. Senate for another 6-year term in Washington.
Up 20 points with about 40% of the precincts reporting.
Now, we want to thank the Weather Department first for their patience, but also because even though it rained today, it did not keep people from the polls.
Exactly, yeah, and I have some important things to say too. It's going to improve as we go through the next couple of days. So we'll talk about the good weather news here, rain moving.
Our Voice of the Voter coverage continues now, and Jared Golden, the Democrat in the 2nd District race, is speaking to his supporters in a dead heat with Bruce Poliquin, each at 46%. Let's listen.
She dies on me. So the truck carried me as far as it could in this campaign and then said, all right, you're on your own. Get the Lewiston. But I have been everywhere. We've seen the sunrise and, over on the East Coast. We've seen it setting out on the West Coast, and woken up here in Lewiston one morning and then gone to bed in Allagash the very, very same night. So that's the kind of campaign we've run, and I'm awfully proud of it. Getting out and about, getting back to the field. That's how we do it, right? Yeah. Every single place I've gone, there's been people like you that are excited for a new generation of leadership right here in Maine and in the United States. People are hungry for someone that's going to fight for them. And tonight, I want to start by saying how proud I am to have earned your trust, your support, and your votes. Thank you so much. So, it's going to be a late night. We're not going to get any final results tonight, but let me tell you this. We're winning it right now, and it looks like Mainers are that much closer to getting that new generation of leadership that they're looking for. So, I wouldn't be here without the love and support of my wife, Izzy. So, thank Izzy. Best campaign at, I think, maybe in the country this election cycle. You want to talk about breaking through the negativity with a very positive ad. There we go. So way out in the back, as always, hiding out in the back, my campaign manager, John Breed. And let's get real loud and real excited for Margaret Reynolds, my field director. And the rest of my amazing staff. I am so proud of this campaign that we've run. And you know what is really most moving about this campaign for me is all the volunteers, all the people that have gone out there countless hours, knocked on doors and told people why it is that they're supporting me, what the message is that we believe in, which is fighting to protect health care for working people, fighting for higher wages, fighting for unions, fighting for the working class. So, big shout out goes to these firefighters standing right out there.
Well, that's Jared Golden thanking his supporters, but unable to claim victory yet. So let's recap before we say goodnight to you on the air what we know now. In that 2nd District race, the numbers have been tight all night long. 46% for Bruce Poliquin, the Republican incumbent, 46% for Jared Golden. Neither man appears likely to win 50% majority, so that race will go to ranked choice vote counting. So about a week from now, we will know who the winner of that race is. 1st District, ranked choice voting is not going to come into play. Shelley Pingree is the projected winner. She has 59% of the vote right now with almost half of the votes counted. Mark Holbrook at 31%, not conceding, but clearly that's way too much ground for him to make up. Marty Groman, the independent in this race, who was hoping he might finish second and keep Shelley Pingree under 50%, could not get close to that, just drew 10%.
The U.S. Senate race will not rely on ranked choice voting either. We are projecting that Senator Angus King has won re-election to 54 to about 34% of the vote, with 41% of the precincts reporting. Eric Brakey has not conceded. Zach Ringelstein, the progressive Democratic candidate, did earlier in the evening.
And the governor's race, that one we're not going to know for a while. On the other hand, the trend has not changed over the last couple of hours. With 41% of the statewide vote counted, Democrat Janet Mills is still sitting at 51%. Sean Moody, the Republican, at 43%. Terry Hayes, the independent, at 6%. So unless something big changes, things are looking very good for the Democrats, and as Shelley Pingree said, looking very good for women in politics tonight.
And also question one, a very controversial question about universal home health care. News Center is projecting that will fail. The numbers have been very steady all night. About 63% of voters said no way.
So we'll be back on air on the morning report beginning at 4:30, but we're going to continue our coverage tonight on Facebook Live and online because we want to stay with this governor's race in particular as long as we can to try to see if there's going to be a winner tonight. So we'll take a break, but we'll see you back again in a few minutes online.